Please could you explain Haas's work and also that of the Gene Haas Foundation, which I know is linked to you guys.
Linked, yes, not directly, I should say. So the Gene Haas Foundation was set up by Mr. Haas several years ago now, and it has a very simple mantra that's to introduce and to educate individuals into the field of manufacturing technology, specifically CNC machining. But engineering activities generally, and that is a role, a task that of course is all too desperately needed certainly within the UK, and I might add globally. It's not specific to the UK, but obviously that's our area. As Haas Automation, we supply computer-controlled machine tools, so CNC machine tools, into the UK and Ireland. There's about 12,500-ish since we started, and we continue to expand that as a company. And education is a big deal for us. It's about 700 pieces of Haas equipment in educational sites in the UK and Ireland alone.
What do you hope to achieve through the partnership with Baker Deering and the UTC program?
So the introduction actually came through our local UTC up here in Norfolk, UTCN, and actually through a chance invitation to a careers evening there, which one of my colleagues couldn't go, so I went to do it instead. And got introduced to the people there. Realised that there was some obvious correlation between what they were doing and to the equipment that they had and the activities and the very engineering bias of certainly that UTC, and I think many others. It would be fair to say of the remaining UTCs across the country. So a little bit of further discussion then through various senior members of Baker Deering, and it became obvious that there was an opportunity for some cooperation, and I think some joint initiatives as well. We have a vested interest as a company. We have a vested interest in making sure that there are skilled young people coming into engineering and manufacturing, because otherwise, who's going to buy our machines in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years time? It also resonates with the Baker Deering Trust, that the way that we as a business are wholly focused on engineering and manufacturing, and therefore can offer them the kind of support and assistance, and I guess a bit of industry feedback that is all too important. It struck me, having visited several UTCs and other educational sites across the country, that actually the focus is obviously on the students, the pupils, the learners, and I get that, but equally, if you have someone who is delivering this week what they delivered about the same week last year and probably the same week the year before that, that's not particularly motivating in my opinion. The quality of teaching that I've seen at UTCs, I have to say, is outstanding. So it struck me, well, how do these teachers stay, and technicians for that matter, how do they stay up to date with the latest technology? How do they know what we are doing as a supplier? And we're one of several CNC manufacturers, but how do they stay up to date? How do they get excited and relight that fire, whatever it was that brought them into teaching and engineering teaching specifically? So in conversations with again some senior management people at Baker Deering, it became obvious that there was an opportunity to run some events. We began talking about how and what that might look like, and how it could be presented. And of course the obvious, well, who's finance and all that sort of thing came up. It's going to cost some money and so on. Well, that's just a problem. Let's get rid of that problem. So the Gene Haas Foundation donated some funding to support the events that are happening. Not just the one that we have done, but the first one was with LK Metrology, and Steve Schickel did an excellent job there. And then there's also Renishaw, Autodesk, Dormer Pramit, Fanuc, and I believe there is another one with a coolant supplier, MO8. So there's all these to be scheduled, of course, but the point was that I didn't want to have a scenario where we simply sent a PowerPoint or did a webinar, because you can't touch a machine, you can't press a button, you can't hear it, feel it, you can't ask questions. You can't, all of those things that you get with physical interaction, which is why we invited the UTC people to come down to Norwich here. And I have to say, I was surprised by the turnout, and even more surprised, I think, by the feedback that we had in terms of wow, this day was fantastic. I believe one person even said it was engaging. Well, wow, you can't get better than that, really, can you? So really pleased to do that. It was a great opportunity as well for us. And as regards to visiting to the UTCs, so yeah, we went to the London Design UTC and also Lee. And that was part of a bit of a tour with myself and a lady called Kathy Luman, who's the executive director of the Gene Hartz Foundation. And the highlight for me actually was, as it always is talking to the students, and asking them what they think, but also the questions that you get back. We get obvious questions regarding Formula One and so on, which is fine. You know, used to fielding those questions. But also the how did you get into engineering? What's your career path? How did you get to be where you are? What can I do? What should I be doing? The confidence and maturity of some of these young people is absolute testimony to the way that UTCs and specifically the Baker Deering Trust are teaching these young people, not just to be qualified, skilled people, but also to be work ready, able to communicate, able to have conversations with people within the workplace, and that is so important. I was extremely fortunate when I did O-level engineering way back when chalk and slate was around, and I had a particularly motivated engineering teacher at the local school who, if you showed an interest, then he would give you all the time you wanted at lunchtime, in mornings, after school, and that spark, I think, has stayed with me, and then subsequently going through college and various work experience and placements and things that I've had, give you such an opportunity and such a drive, and you think, wow, do you know, this is really fun. And it's not just a prescribed series of lessons and modules and things that you've got to tick off. It can be fun. You know, you can do things outside of that. That's one of the reasons why we also sponsor at Gene Hartz the TDI competition with the MTA. Again, just to give young people the opportunity to come and show off, be proud of what you've done.
What will you be delivering with Baker Deering to support, continue to support the engineering staff, in the coming months? Really, what can people look forward to?
A variety of things. So first off, we will be expanding the CPD events next year. We're already talking about doing 2, maybe 3 days here at Hartz. We're also looking at the idea of taking some of our equipment on the road. So some of our smaller machines, taking them to more local events. We will be releasing some more online training material and other resources for teachers and indeed students to use to support the existing activities, but also to perhaps offer some insight into other things that they might not have thought about. We are going to continue our sponsorship with TDI Challenge again, so that's something we're already doing for this year. And I guess one of the highlights will be there's the plans for working with UTCs on the UTC sleeve concept. So getting involved in that and bridging some of that gap and using again some of our resources and connections and so on. We're also looking at some targeted events for some perhaps minority groups to get into engineering and manufacturing. And one of the real big deals for us is in the US there is regularly an event every year called HTEC, which is Hartz Technical Educators Conference. It's an annual event along with some regional events, and we have had some initial conversations about doing a UK version of that, inviting educators not just from UTCs but from other educational sites as well to come together and exchange ideas and methods and processes, as well as getting involved with our industry partners to allow them to again, have some knowledge transfer, and make more connections. In other words, invest in the educators, because I firmly believe if you have educators who are motivated and enthusiastic about the subject, irrespective of what it is, then motivation and enthusiasm will rub off. And also, to continue to encourage the connections with the UTC teachers. I've had, following the event that we had here, I've had several contact me directly by LinkedIn, and more than happy to do that, by the way. If other people want to reach out, absolutely fine. I'm happy to go and do some guest speaking and things like that. If UTCs think it would be useful, just please reach out.
How would you describe, from your perspective, the current state of pedagogy in engineering?
Well, I think in terms of engineering within the secondary education level, it's still a relatively new concept in the terms of that descriptive, as opposed to a series of the more traditional courses and qualifications which have made up effectively what a good engineer is. So we're delighted to see more education establishments offering a specific engineering qualification at GCSE level and at A level, which is great because it obviously focuses young minds towards a particular career path even then. So there's more that can be done. What's interesting is that engineering is starting to appear much lower down in the curriculum. The challenge is for enormous number of certainly secondary education schools is there's so much crammed into the curriculum anyway that finding room for engineering is as I said, is a challenge. And what we love about the UTC programs particularly is the fact that you've chiseled that out. That is part of the UTC experience for anybody who goes to one of those educational establishments. I think the honest answer is we'd like to see more. We understand in some contexts why you can't always achieve that, but I think within the UTC environment it's really good because it gives individuals choice at that stage in their education, that if they're enamored or curious about engineering, is a really great opportunity to explore the discipline in the early stages with a view hopefully later on to potentially taking up that career. I mean, we all know we need more engineers in society.
How do you want to see the teaching of engineering improve?
Well, I think the key bit for us is that one of the charitable objectives of this organisation is to encourage young people to consider careers within the STEM environment, so science, technology, engineering, maths, that broader context, that within that environment. And I think the UTCs provide a really efficient model that hopefully for us at least allows that objective to be fulfilled. So I think teaching engineering, as I said, it's a relatively new discipline. I think the whole area of those individuals who are both experiencing it as a student, but also those who are teaching it, are not finding their way. But there's not a huge track record behind them to test and to feel confident in. So I think for us, improving the CPD experience, or rather providing for greater CPD, career professional development, of engineering teachers and lecturers is hugely important because it broadens their concept, their understanding of the discipline. It gives them more confidence in teaching it, and as we've all experienced, a confident, knowledgeable teacher is far more likely to be able to encourage students to think, I can do that and I can move forward, and I want to be that as well. We've all come across, certainly I've been very lucky to come across, within a long time ago, my educational experience, one or two teachers who were out of the norm because they were confident in the discipline they were delivering, the education they were giving, and they inspired me to follow things. If you have a good teacher, you tend to think, oh, I might be interested in doing a little bit more of that. They encourage pupils to become engaged, students to become engaged, and that's hugely important. So anything that can increase the confidence and the skill of a teacher within a particular discipline, in this case engineering, has got to be a good thing. And it has the advantage, the teacher CPD, that you improve the teacher by investing or by giving Baker Deering grants towards supporting this program. what we're also doing is actually getting really good value for money, because we have a relatively limited STEM funding budget each year, and therefore we look to get maximum impact by investing in teaching staff, in educators. You get both a short-term but really great long-term effect, because if that individual feels more confident, delivers more, is able to share their experience with other teachers as well as with their pupils and students, then there's a really great exponential effect. So as far as we're concerned, in terms of STEM education and looking towards improving STEM education across the piece, teacher CPD, lecturer CPD is probably our highest priority in terms of supporting those particular programs, because it gives the best impact at the greatest value towards what you're trying to achieve.
How do you think improved engineering CPD for the teachers and also the technicians and various staff, how do you think that can support young people who need positive destinations and also the employers who need a skilled workforce?
Someone that can teach in a confident manner means that they're going to be able to convey a hugely positive message about the discipline that they're involved in. So not only can they teach better, so they'll get their messaging over, they'll get the skills that they're trying to take, they'll hopefully improve the young person's understanding of the discipline itself, of that academic discipline, more than anything else, but maybe the workshop as well and everything else. Just give that young person some confidence in a particular skill or a particular element of sort of the engineering discipline, but purely by also just being more confident in themselves, being a greater proponent of being an engineer, because by association, if you're teaching engineering, the student is going to think he or she's an engineer. Do I want to be like that? So if that individual standing in the front of the classroom or leading a group of students in a workshop is confident in what they're doing, is able to impart in a particularly forthcoming and interesting way, then that's going to encourage those young people to think, I want to be like that, I could do this. So not only that they're increasing their own confidence in their skills that they can undertake, but they're becoming the individual is inspiring them to think, well, actually, he was really good, he or she was brilliant at that, and actually that's really encouraged me to think about where my life direction might take, and I want to be a bit like them, or I want to follow up on what they've talked about. So I think as I said, I come back to it's with great teachers have such a significant impact on their young students. So any investment in encouraging teachers to become better, and even the better teachers to share more with how they teach, has got to be a great investment for the young people of the future and for the young engineers, because ultimately we would like to see more young people choosing an engineering career, whether it's to go on study at higher education and a degree level and plus that, or whether it's to go in as an apprentice, and I want to go and become an engineering apprentice. There's no right or wrong path. It's just whatever suits the individual. But I think by putting someone at the front of a classroom or in the middle of a workshop that is really confident in their own teaching methods and their own discipline, encourages others and sets a really great example, and demonstrates future pathways for the young pupils that are coming through, the UTCs of today and tomorrow.